Thanks for joining our quarterly webcast. I'm Jürgen Kress, part of the Oracle Product Management team and your host. In case you missed one of our webcasts, on-demand recordings are available at Oracle Video Hub, including presentation for download. In today's presentation, Antony will update us on the latest Oracle Integration 3 features, and Milad will update us on the upgrade process. Good morning, Antony.
Good morning, Jürgen, and good morning, all our attendees.
So integration is up and running in all our data centers. How many instances are provisioned by today already?
Okay, so out of our thousands and thousands of OIC instances, we have today more than 2,000 OIC instances. Almost half of those have been upgraded from Gen 2.
You will present today some new features.
We got lots of exciting things to share today, things that people have been asking for a long time.
As our very own Neil Kominski is on holiday, will you also include a demo?
Yes, I do. In fact, I have 4 or 5 demos today.
And with us is Milad. Milad, good morning.
Good morning, good day.
So you will talk about the upgrade process. So what are the benefits for customers to move to Oracle Integration 3?
Indeed. So all the good features that Antony will walk us through a bunch of today are only available in OIC 3. So that is the biggest benefit for everyone to jump on the upgrade wagon.
Okay. How long does it take to upgrade?
Not long. Anything that is customer facing as part of this upgrade, from thousands of integrations or instances that we've upgraded so far, the average has been less than 10 minutes. So our SLA is for upgrade to not take more than 15 minutes. And the majority of what we've done so far has been completed under 10 minutes.
So during our webcast, you can upgrade 4 more instances.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, let's get started. So Oracle Integration 3 connects SaaS services like Oracle HCM, CX, and ERP with adapters or custom-built applications via SOAP or REST. In the latest iPaaS Gartner Magic Quadrant, Oracle is ranked as a leader. The objective of today's call is to provide you all the information to adapt the latest version and to introduce new features. Quick housekeeping. Today's session is live and this presentation is being recorded. Please feel free to post your questions via the conference Q&A tool in the Zoom console. At the end of the webcast, we will answer them. Slides and an on-demand webcast will be posted at Oracle Video Hub. We will post announcements and links in the conference chat. Please complete the online survey at the end of the webinar. As we will present product roadmap information, please pay attention to the Oracle Safe Harbor statement. Please do tweet and blog about products and services which are available today. For today's agenda, I will keep the announcements very short, and then I will hand over to Antony for the new features and demos, and Milad will present us the upgrade process. And at the end of the webcast, we will wrap up with your questions and answers. So quick integration updates. We are running a series for new customers to connect SaaS applications like ERP, HCM, CX, NetSuite, and eBusiness Suite. If you missed the first 2 editions, it's available on demand, and the next webcast on CX integration will take place June 21st. We continue our integration customer success webcast series on July 12th with a customer example from 3HE, and they connect their enterprise service management. It's a digital transformation project, and you can learn more about the customer benefits and the best practices, how the implementation was done on July 12th. If you want to try Oracle Integration 3, it's part of the Oracle free trial. You can go to the Oracle website, you can request a trial for 30 days, and you can provision your own instance. Please make use of our live labs. The live labs are free of charge online training. Please also make use of the Oracle documentation, which is fully available now. If you need help with your integration projects, we recommend to look out for certified partners. You can look up them in Partner Finder, and you can search at Cloud Marketplace for third-party adapters, which are available also for Integration 3. To collaborate and to network, please use Cloud Customer Connect. There you can post your questions, you can submit innovations, and you can earn badges. So today's webcast is recorded and will be published at Oracle Video Hub. Please subscribe to receive the latest updates. For regular updates, please subscribe to the integration newsletter. The quarterly updates from our team include the latest product information, events, success stories, white papers, trainings, and technical information. With that short introduction, I would like to hand over to Antony. Antony, thanks for joining.
We will cover, first of all, the core integration capabilities roadmap. We'll then follow with the connectivity or adapters roadmap. We'll look at the SaaS enablement roadmap, the things that we do specifically for SaaS. And finally, Milad will give us an upgrade update, which will explain to you how you can get all the cool features that we're showing you. So a reminder around the roadmap, we organize it into a number of different themes. So these different themes cover different areas within the product. And so within the OIC rollout, we're talking about how you can get OIC, what are the missing capabilities that we need to add. Within hyperautomation, we're talking about all the new kinds of capabilities we're adding, the visual builder that's been enabled, process. In an upcoming customer webcast, we will talk about RPA and new features we're delivering there, along with a new analytics automation service. SaaS enablement, we'll talk about how we're making it easy, not just to use pre-built or accelerators, but how to extend them. In operations, we'll talk about how we make it easier to operate your instances. And then we'll talk about the functional innovations and healthcare. So just to give you a reminder on the way we do our roadmap, the plan of record is essentially the next 6 months. Plan of intent, 6 to 12 months. Plan of direction, 12 months and beyond. We will focus today specifically on the plan of record. And so to put that into context, your OIC 3 dev instances should have been upgraded last week to the 2306 release. And next week, or actually, starting over this weekend, I believe, Milad, we will be upgrading your production shapes to 2306. So we will be talking about new features in 2306. We'll review what was in 2302 and 2304. And we'll also talk about what's coming in 2310, 2312. So let's highlight what we achieved in 2302, 2304. We can now provision both Visual Builder and Process Automation. We've rolled out B2B. We've also created this new project concept where you can group related resources together, and we'll be showing you some new capabilities there today. Parallel action, where you can explicitly fire off parallel threads within an integration flow, and a whole new event subsystem, which Milad has shepherded through to production. Great job with that, Milad. And a bunch of other capabilities as well. The things that you're going to see in 2306, we've added observability to the publish subscribe capabilities, and that's now enabled or should be enabled in all instances. We also, when you're provisioning, if you have multiple identity domains, you'll be able to select a specific domain. Other key things is resource-based access control for designers, developers, monitors, will all be imposed at the project level, and we'll have a demo of that. We plan to backport the Gen 2 ability to deploy integrations to API Gateway. We're expecting that in the next 6 months. Also, the ability to redeliver B2B transactions. This is very useful if, for example, a target system or target trading partner said, oops, we lost the message after we told you we'd received it. Can you please resubmit it? And so we now have that capability. So let's move on to some of these demos. So let's start off with private endpoints. What do we mean by private endpoint? You're all hopefully familiar with the connectivity agent. So for that, you install the connectivity agent on a private network. It connects back to Oracle integration. And then when within Oracle integration flow, you make a call to a connection using that agent. The agent retrieves the request payload, submits it to the target, collects the response payload, and returns it back to the integration running in the cloud. Now, you've got to ask yourself, why do I need a connectivity agent if I'm running, for example, an ATP database on a private network in the same region as I'm running Oracle integration? And the answer is now you don't have to do that anymore. You can place the outbound connections from OIC onto a customer, onto your own OCI subnets. And so let's give you a demo as to how that works. Okay, so first of all, if we go in here, let's pick one that I know doesn't currently have private endpoints enabled. So we see here there's a new private endpoints capability on the left-hand side. I can say at this point, in order to create a private endpoint, I need to have set up some policies within the setup wizard. We allow you to go and set those policies. I've already set them up, so in the interest of time, we'll not demo that. Any of you familiar with OCI will have no doubt set up these policies more times than you would like. So in this case, I'm going to choose an OCI virtual network, and then I'm going to choose the specific subnet on that network. And when I click Create Private Endpoint, it will create a network adapter on that subnet that is usable by the OIC instance. And so within here, we'll see that there's a work request that has been accepted but not actioned yet to create a private endpoint for outbound connections. So now, if I switch to my OIC instance, let me go into projects. And I want to see all the projects. When I come, how do I actually tell a connection to use that? So let's look at this. Here's an ATP instance. I'm connecting JDBC over SSL. I have now, because this instance is enabled for private endpoint, I will see a private endpoint option on adapters that support it. Today, we support Oracle ATP, ADW, and DBAS, the REST adapter, and the FTP adapter. We will be rolling out additional adapter support for private endpoint over the coming releases. Our goal is to have almost every adapter available as a private endpoint. So in this case, to use the private endpoint, I just say use private endpoint. At this point onwards, any traffic from this connection that I send to the database will be routed over the subnet that I attach the private endpoint to. And it's now your responsibility to make sure that that subnet either is directly hosting the database or has routing set up to allow you to get to the database. Equally, we could do this with a REST adapter or the FTP adapter. So with that in mind, let's go back. So that was private endpoints, and that's a significant new capability that will be available to you starting in this 2306 release. Okay, so next thing is resource-based access control. What do we mean by resource-based access control? All right, let's go in here back to our project that we were looking at. Okay, so within here, we now have a new section in a project called Share. And so I can go and set up in here, who are the owners? Owners can do anything they like in a project. Editors can create resources like integrations and connections. They can edit resources like integrations or lookups or connections. They can view and they can monitor. If you have edit responsibility, let's go and add somebody to editing on this. Jürgen, would you like to be able to edit things on this system?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, obviously doesn't like Jürgen today.
Yeah, there's always a challenge with my first name, with the nice Ü.
Oh, I missed, sorry, I missed the E instead of the umlaut. My apologies, Jürgen. You'd think after all the years we've known each other, I'd be able to figure out how to find you in the Oracle system. So here we can choose Jürgen. Jürgen now has access to edit and modify integrations just in this project. He doesn't have access to other projects necessarily. So why would you want to use this? One use case of a customer in the US is that they have people working on HR. They don't want their financial systems people to have access to the HR system. So by using the shareability constraints on a project, they can say only the HR people can have access. And you'll notice that when we went in here, for example, here I could choose, we tend to, in the OIC team, we prefix all our groups with OIC PM to make them easy to find. So I could say, hey, I'm working with Cerner. I'm going to allow Cerner users to see what we're doing in this project. And so you see, it automatically helps me find the users and groups from the corporate directory or whatever identity system you've got and federated with OIC. So again, I'm going to give all our Cerner acquisition users access to view, but not to edit. And so you can always see what the permissions are in this bottom corner. There's one other change we made. Today, or previously, integrations were only visible inside the project. If you had an integration in another project, you couldn't see it from this one and you couldn't use it. We've now added shareability. So I'm going to go and create an application, an integration here. And I have this option to make it available to other projects. When I do that, it means that if I'm in another project, I can discover this integration when I'm using a local invoke. So again, this means that we still provide scoping, but now you can break the scoping and make this globally available. Okay, so now that was resource-based access control, and you can probably imagine lots of different ways you might want to use that to enforce who can see what resources at the project level. Okay, finally, I'd like to show you, to wrap up the core integration, how we can actually provision Visual Builder or process automation as part of an OIC instance. So here's the instance we were using earlier. We noticed that Visual Builder is already enabled. Let's enable process automation for this instance. So again, just as with private endpoint, we need to make sure that we have the correct policies. And again, if we click on this, it will actually take us to the policies, just to show you that. And here, Neil has already kindly created them for us. And so we can see that we've allowed the group of which I'm part of to manage process automation instances and to read the metrics for those instances. So looks like that's all set up. So let's see if we navigate Okay, so we see Visual Builder was enabled. So let's go in. We've checked. We saw that the policies were enabled. So again, all that we have to do is click Enable. At this point, it's kicked off a job. We see that, notice that the private endpoint completed. And if we look at the private endpoint, we see that it took about 4 minutes to provision the private endpoint. We can see now that the process automation has been accepted. What it will do is, under the covers, it will create an OPA instance, an Oracle Process Automation instance. It will associate it with the integration instance, so that when within process automation, you say call an integration, you'll be able to discover and call the integration instances because it's pre-wired. And we do the same with Visual Builder. We pre-wire Visual Builder to discover integrations. And so this normally takes less than 5 minutes to enable the process automation. We could wait for 5 minutes and make sure that it happens, but I suspect you'd like to see some new features. So let's move on. Okay. So now let's talk about connectivity and pre-built enablement. So some key highlights of previous releases is, of course, always lots of new adapters in there across all kinds of different things, such as track and trace, or the Netezza adapter, if you're using Netezza as your data warehouse, PostgreSQL, Snowflake, so lots of third-party, and my analytics friends tell me inferior data warehouses. Also, support for new capabilities, and also lots of work in the ability to support end-to-end solutions. And we'll talk about those in the pre-builts, but I'd like to highlight that we now have support for multiple versions of pre-builts, which we didn't have before in the Gen 2. And also, you can take an extended pre-built, and we'll demo that later today, and show you how you can export it and import it into a higher environment, a test or a production environment. So let's talk a little bit about some of the key roadmap items. So first of all, you now have the ability to clone an accelerator to make an exact copy of it. And also, we can move those accelerators around without losing the ability to extend them. The very exciting capability I'm really excited about is OData adapter is coming, and the OData is a very flexible way of presenting JSON data formats. It's embedded into the Microsoft and SAP adapters already, but we're now making it available as a standalone adapter for third parties that use OData. We also, the most exciting thing on here, though, is the large payload support. In 2304, we supported payloads up to 50 megabytes. Now, for most adapters, we are supporting payloads of 100 megabytes. So that is a huge payload for an application to deal with, and we're able to support that. We've done extensive testing. We pushed through 100 megabyte payloads through the system. We searched for where it broke. We fixed those problems, and we're now able to stand behind a 100 megabyte payload. Another one I'd like to highlight is we now have the DB2 adapter is now certified for use with DB2 400. So for those of you that have had to deal with the old AS400s and now the my mind's gone, are they the I series, or I forget the way IBM kept renaming them. But those older AS400 style databases, very, very cool, very powerful, now supported through the DB2 adapter. So let's start off with a large payload demo. So this is supported for the REST and SOAP, SAS-based adapters, ATP, ADW, DBAS, FTP adapters, all support the 100 megabytes. Connectivity agent adapters, or if you're using agent-based communication, the limit is still 50 megabytes. We are working to find ways to improve that, to push it to the 100 megabytes. Of course, you could always, instead of using the connectivity agent, use the private endpoint. And there are a few limitations as are tagged on here. But what we're going to do now is let's show you. So here we've got a simple integration that on a schedule picks up a file from FTP and then loads the records into a database. And so within here, we can see within the database, I can make a query to see how many records are there. If I execute the query, we can see at the moment, not a lot of records there. Hopefully you can read that. It's quite small, I know. Okay, so now we've got a file that is just slightly under 100 megabytes. So I'm going to go to the schedule and run that schedule. Let's wait for the activity stream to update. So we've read a 100 megabyte, or slightly under, I think it was about 20 kilobytes under 100 megabytes. And so we can see that there's no errors in the activity stream. And so now let's go and see whether it actually loaded anything into the database. We'll run the exact same query we ran before. And now we see that we've got nearly 400,000 records in the database, a significant improvement on the 0 that we had before. And so that shows you that we're able to now process these 100 megabyte files. Let's show you what happens if we have a file that is too large. So in this case, we see we've got a file that's 102 megabytes. And so we go in and we again hit the process, the file to run it. And now let's have a look. Oh my gosh, we've got an error. And it probably doesn't tell us what happened, but let's have a look at that error. And we see here that we get a very clear error message. Error occurs as file size exceeded the maximum size. So that, okay. So that there shows that not only do we support the 100 megabyte payloads, but we also now make it easier to see when there's an error because the payload size is too large. Okay, I'd now like to demo for you one of our new accelerators, Fusion Service to Fusion Field Service Accelerator. So Fusion Service is Oracle's help desk application. And Oracle Field Service is for when the guy comes to your house to fix your cable or ADSL line. He may be using field service to be routed to your property, to be told what to do, and to be told what equipment he might need to take with him. And so we're going to go through and have a look at key things that need to be done here. So, for example, you have a work order. Go to Antony's house and fix his cable. You create it, you update it. Oh, Antony just phoned in. He's not going to be available. We need to change the time, so we reschedule it. Oh, Antony discovered he hadn't turned his modem on. All is working fine. Let's cancel it. So all those things, of course, I'm sharing too many details of my personal life there. But let's actually go and look at this demo now. So here we are on the accelerators page. We are actually filtering. So we go into view all, and we're just looking for business accelerators. An accelerator is a supported pre-built solution. In other words, you can raise service requests on them. Here's the Fusion service to field service. In this case, it's built by Oracle, but Oracle partners can also build these, sell them, and support them. So in this case, we don't have to go to a separate marketplace and download it. We'll now see that it's imported and it's all ready for us to configure. So so it automatically brings it in for us as a project. And so when we look at the project, we see that there's a number of connections that we'd need to configure. So we've pre-configured some of these. We also find that we've got the integrations in here. And again, we've sort of activated some of these to speed up the demo. So here to show how we could actually run it within our Fusion Service Cloud, we can go in and raise a new request, a new work order. So we've created the new work order, and now we can see it was submitted. And then when we refresh it, we'll notice that we can go to observe and we can see, did an integration run? And here we can see that, yes, an integration did actually execute. It's got the work order that we put in originally. And here we can see in the console in field service, we can see that the work order has actually been added, and we can now decide whether we're going to accept it and acknowledge it. And so at that point, any changes that we make here potentially will be replicated back. We find that we're missing an account number here, so we could fill that in. Okay, so we've shown that we've now connected Fusion to field service. However, often we find that we're missing the account number. We need to push that over. That's not part of the standard synchronization that's in the accelerator. So what we're going to do is create what's called an extension group. And so we'll go in. We've added an extension. In here, we can choose to extend before or after this particular invoke. So we added an extend before. We're now going to decide, do we need to add an account number? So we've got a little query that we've set up to say, hey, depending on if the account exists, we need to send it over to the other system. If it doesn't exist, we'll do nothing. So if it exists, we're going to use the stitch to send the account number to the field service cloud so that they receive it. Obviously, if we don't have the account number in the field service application, in the service application, we can't send it to field service. So now we've extended the integration to add that. We can also do additional processing. In this case, we've added another extension group after the invoke. And in here, we're going to iterate over the results that we got from the query. And again, we're going to put in a little bit of conditional logic. And this time for the particular result that we're looking at. If the value, we're going to check whether the operation failed after we sent it over to field service. So this is going to add some additional information. We can do some additional updates here. And so you could imagine lots of different reasons why you might want to extend. We use the stitch so that we don't overwrite existing maps, that we're just extending them. And so now let's have a look at this. We've got our customized version. We can activate it. and then we can go in and let's refresh this. And see that the integration ran. So this is now running the new integration with the extension groups. Let's see that we were missing some business identifiers. Let's go in here, and we now see that we have the account number. You see the account number is now propagated. So remember, last time we ran this, the account number wasn't there. Now it is, and that's because we extended the integration and pushed it in. We can also look here to see if any errors, and for any errors, we put in some logic to say, let's deal with that. So again, all of this is available. We've extended an off-the-shelf pre-built accelerator. And the cool thing about this is those accelerator extensions continue to be available to us, not just in here, but if we take a new version of the accelerator, we will be offered the opportunity to bring these extensions with us. We can also, as we see here, we can export this accelerator with our extensions. And now we can go and import it. And when we import it, we'll discover that let's go to a new one. And let's go in and import, and add in the one that we had a second ago. So we import this in, and now when we go in to open this, we'll discover that this is now no longer the standard accelerator. But if we go in and look, if we open up the integration, we will see that our extension groups are there. And so we preserve the extensions across test and production. But also, if you import a later version of the accelerator, we will also preserve those extension groups for you. So with that said, we've talked about the activities within Fusion Service to Fusion Service Field Service. We saw that we were doing updates in both directions. We also support attachments and follow-up activities within that accelerator. The key point about an accelerator is it's not just one flow, it's everything you need, in this case, to synchronize the work orders and their related artifacts, and to keep them in sync in both systems. And so other accelerators have different objects they deal with, different endpoints, but have the same type of easy to use, out of the box experience with the ability to customize and very powerfully to preserve those customizations across a new version of the accelerator or across promoting it to test and production environments. Okay, so now I'd like to hand over to Milad to talk and give you an update on where we are with upgrade.
Thanks, Antony. I'll start with some of the questions that came up in the QA, and one was timeline in terms of when we'll be done with upgrading all the Gen 2 instances to OIC 3. So I'd like to start with, we'll continue to support Gen 2 as long as we have customers remaining on Gen 2. Our goal is to upgrade pretty much 2/3 of our entire Gen 2 fleet to OIC 3 by the end of the year, and everyone else, 100% of our OIC Gen 2 fleet to be on OIC 3 by the end of Oracle fiscal year, which is, towards the end of May 2024. So that is the timeline. But again, we'll continue to apply security patches on ongoing basis to Gen 2. as you saw, all these great features that are new in OIC are only available in OIC 3. So that should be a motivation for everyone to want to get upgraded. One blocker that we had to upgrade majority of our customers to OIC 3 had been IDC as cross-region upgrade. So if you had your IDC account in a different region than your instance, then that would prevent you from upgrading. But that issue has been resolved, and we began upgrading customers from Gen 2 to OIC 3 with IDCS accounts in regions different than their instances. A few other updates. We've been holding ongoing upgrade windows. So on every month, we have 1 to 2 upgrade windows, and we've been doubling the number of instances that we include schedule in each upgrade window. We have a upgrade window coming up on June 21st, and then another one on June 10th. So far, more than 10% of our fleet has been upgraded to OIC 3. And that's great, because that also includes pretty much all the Oracle internal instances, and hundreds of customers are now live on OIC 3. So we've been able to really get down the scheduling part of the upgrade, the notification, all of that is now in place and tested, so we can upgrade more customers more rapidly to OIC 3. Now, in terms of what will be also included in the upgrade cadence, we're right now working on automation for Gen 2 pops up customers to upgrade to OIC 3. So if you recall, Gen 2 was initially deprecated in Gen 2. And then what we did, as Antony mentioned, build a pops up solution from ground up in OIC 3. And that provides feature parity between Gen 2 and OIC 3 with regards to pops up customers or pops up users, or customers with pops up footprints, if you will. Now we're working on the automation that will seamlessly upgrade customers with pops up from Gen 2 to OIC 3. So that's coming soon. That will be the next major development in the upgrade. There are now a few other things to mention with regards to upgradability. There are some things on customer side that are holding instances from upgrading, and main blockers have been has had to do with agents, with failed instances, basic routing, and identity certificate. So basically, a few 2 points about agents. Agents for OIC 3 must be running on JDK 17. So right now, both Gen 2 and OIC 3 are certified for JDK 17. So if you do update your hosts with JDK 17, it will work for both Gen 2, and it will make you upgrade eligible to OIC 3. With failed instances, every failed instance that is in your Gen 2 environment needs to be addressed, either retried or canceled before we can upgrade you to OIC 3. Basic routing is no longer supported in Gen 2. It will continue to not support it in OIC 3. So if you have any instances with basic routing, we ask you to convert them to a different pattern and that allows you, that unblocks you to upgrade to OIC3. Identity certificates are not transferable. So if you have identity certificate in Gen 2, those identity certificates need to be applied to your OIC3 environments post upgrade. So these are a few blockers that we've seen on the customer side that prevents them from upgrading. So if you come across any of these, then try to resolve them. The documentation goes into great detail about how to resolve any of these issues. There is a step-by-step on how to upgrade agent JDKs, for example, how to convert basic routing, what to do with identity certificates. All of these is included in the upgrade documentation. There are also some blockers on our side that we're working on. For example, VBCS and PubSub that kept coming in the QA section. Those VBCS is also available in OIC3, as well as process automation. And right now we're working on building the automation around VBCS, and we're targeting post 2310 release of OIC3 for customers with VBCS to be able to begin to upgrade to OIC3. And OPA, or process automation, will follow. A few things that I'd like to encourage you to do is to go to the upgrade UI under settings in your Gen 2 environments and look through the upgrade eligibility results and read through the blockers or prerequisites that are not yet met for you to be upgraded, and work those, and working them will make you upgrade eligible. You have to be upgrade eligible across your tenancy. All the instances in your tenancy must be upgrade eligible before we pick you up for an upgrade. We will schedule you into an upgrade wave, and within upgrade waves, we have multiple upgrade windows, and those windows are pretty much time slots available within that upgrade wave that then you can choose from. So as soon as you become upgrade eligible, you get picked up for an upgrade scheduling. And if that doesn't take place fast enough, what you can do is to file an SR and ask for an immediate upgrade. And same thing with any questions with regards to the eligibility checks. You can file an SR, and I'll be happy to get on a call with you and work through any blockers or prerequisites that needs to go away. And then again, schedule your upgrades as soon as you're available, as soon as your eligibility checks are resolved. And, don't wait for last minute, because then you're missing out on not only all the great features that we saw demos of today, but then you will miss out on upgrade availability windows too. A few things for our friends that are in active development, given that OIC3 has a lot more to offer in terms of feature, our recommendation is that if you're in active development, finish your development with the feature sets that are available in Gen 2, go live in Gen 2, and then we'll upgrade you, we'll schedule and upgrade you to OIC3. If you're not that far along in your development and you feel that there are features in OIC3 that you could benefit from as part of your development, for example, if you like to use PubSub, or you would like to use private endpoint in your ongoing development, then that would call for an upgrade. But then if you've planned with a go live, and if you've planned with development with the feature sets available in OIC Gen 2, then continue to finish your development and then let us know when you're stabilized on Gen 2, and we can plan for your upgrade. So these are a few important updates to provide. Again, feel free to file SRs as needed about scheduling or any other upgrade related questions. And will be myself and my support colleagues will be happy to accommodate any meetings needed or handholding that you require to make this upgrade a great experience for everyone. With that, Jürgen, I'll pass it back to you. If there are any main open questions about upgrade I can answer, or we can go into any other.
So thanks for the excellent demos, Antony. That was wonderful. And thank you, Milad, for the update on the upgrade process. Oracle just released the fiscal year results. So we would like to say thank you to all our customers and congratulations to your integration projects. Oracle is a cloud provider which is accelerating, and the leading SaaS solutions are definitely driving the Oracle integration business. And integration is now one of the largest pillars in Oracle cloud infrastructure. With the Gartner report being a leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant, we proved the technology, and we would like to say thank you to all our customers. Before we come to the Q&A, a quick summary of resources. Please make use of our integration website. And at the documentation, you can find the live labs, which you can use for the free trial to build your own demos and proof of concept. Visit Oracle blogs. The integration team is posting their regular updates on new features. I also would like to highlight Neil blogs and my blog, where you can find many examples. The quarterly newsletter keeps you updated, so if you don't want to miss the next webcast and the next article, please subscribe to the newsletter. With that, we would like to come to the questions and answers. Kanam would like to know if VBCS and PCS are available already in Oracle Integration 3.
Yes, they are available in commercial realms. We're still rolling them out into government realms such as UK Gov and US Gov.
Okay. And what kind of disaster recovery are we supporting in Generation 3, and what's planned?
Okay, so we have two-pronged action. For disaster recovery at the end of the year, either end of this calendar or early next calendar year, we will be providing an Oracle managed DR capability, which will automatically replicate all your metadata, your schedule parameters between regions, and provide an ability for you to switch from one to the other. We also, in the interim, we're pushing through two key features that are needed. One is the bulk import export, and the other is the custom endpoint. We want to add those in the existing Gen 2. We want to add them into OIC 3 so that customers that want to, ahead of the end of year release, starting probably in 2310, will be able to use those capabilities to do a manual DR in line with the existing DR documentation in Gen 2.
Next question from Forrest. Thomas, what is the difference between the capabilities of the owner and can edit for resource-based access control?
Okay, so owners are allowed to change the permissions. So they're the ones that can assign other owners, editors, viewers, and monitors.
You create multiple private endpoints in different VCNs?
No, you can't. You can only create one private endpoint. If you need to access multiple VCNs, you need to have appropriate routing rules.
Is Oracle Project something used to create separate OIC instances for each business user?
You can think of a project as a virtual OIC, yes. That's a good way to think of it. So you can have, but it's not necessarily at the business user, it's more at the developer and the monitor level.
Okay, and if you create a new project, can you automatically assign a developer to the new project?
So when you create a new project, you can automatically assign an owner, assign yourself as, well, you automatically get assigned as owner, but you can also choose when you create it whether you want to enforce access restrictions, and then you can set those up as part of the creation.
Okay, a couple of questions regarding adapters from Vlad. He would like to know the timeline for the HL7 healthcare adapter.
Okay, so that's currently expected in 2310 alongside the MLLP, because most HL7 communication is done over MLLP. So those two don't make sense independently. And we expect to support the bulk of the HL7 message types during that time.
Is there a possibility to be a beta customer for HL7 adapter?
Yes, if you reach out through Jürgen and Neil, we can put you in touch with Steve Tyndall, and we would love to have early adopters for HL7. And there is one thing I neglected to mention, Jürgen, is that we have a new capability that we're working on that will be hopefully available before the end of the year, called the Rapid Adapter Builder, RAB. This is primarily for partners, but also will be usable by customers as well, to create your own custom adapters. And so it will have a simple JSON description, and you'll be able to use it to curate resources, specify authentication protocols, and basically create your own custom adapters for systems that either you've built yourself, so you're never going to have an Oracle adapter for, or for systems that we haven't provided an adapter for yet.
So it's an adapter SDK to build your own adapter?
Yes. Well, we prefer to call it a builder rather than an SDK. There's no coding involved.
Ah, it's even drag and drop. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a no-code adapter builder.
And once you build
we'll
that,
demo that probably in the next customer webcast, and my colleague Praveen will be very excited to show that.
Can you also publish then the adapter in the cloud marketplace?
Yes, and our partners will certainly be able to do that, and potentially we're looking at how partners can monetize it.
Okay, Milad, what other questions do you would like to highlight?
One last question about OIC3 that came up. There are some features that are not included in OIC3. A list of them are available as part of the upgrade documentation. So there were some weaker authentication policies for certain APIs that are no longer there. For example, there's some deprecated adapters for deprecated products that are no longer available in OIC3, and a list of them is available in the upgrade documentation.
Okay. Can a customer upgrade individual instances?
First, we want them to be upgradable across their tenancy, mainly because we don't want them to be one leg in Gen 2, one leg in OIC3 for a long time. So if they are upgrade eligible across their tenancy, then yes, our recommendation is to upgrade one instance at a time and do testing and move up to their production environment, or if they only have two, then it would be dev and then prod, or if they have multiple, let's say dev, test, and prod, then that upgrade will take slightly longer. But upgrade one instance, give it 2 weeks, do some testing, and then move on to your higher environments. Okay,
thank you, Milad. Antony, any question that you would like to highlight that we missed so far?
Okay, there's one that's a little nuanced. A number of people are asking about process upgrade. The process upgrade is likely not to be 100% automated, which is what we've largely achieved with the integration upgrade, because there are a number of key differences between OPA and process in Gen 2. And so we will get, I think that deserves a dedicated session. We're still several months away from publishing the details on how that will work, but I'd suggest, Jürgen, that we get Arvin to come and do a deep dive session on that.
Yeah, to explain it, Oracle Process Automation is our BPMN tool for any kind of human-based processes. It's a new version, and the previous version was called Process Cloud Service. So thank you very much for attending today's session. If you have questions, you can reach out to the team. You can find us also on LinkedIn and social media. And as a summary, we have the resources available for our customers and partners with the website, the documentation, the blogs, and the newsletter. And you can continue to post your questions on Cloud Customer Connect. For partners, please register for the partner community to receive the regular updates. Then you also get access to our community website and to our trainings and to the Slack channel. If you would like to reach out to the team, Neil Kominski is our product manager in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Paul Mota in South America, Ravi Chaplani in North America, Ravi Pinto in India, Steve Tyndall in Asia. And for any kind of partner questions or marketing questions, please reach out to myself. We would like to say thank you for attending today's webcast, and thank you and congratulations for the stunning fiscal year. We will continue with the next product update webcast on September 21st. Thank you for attending, and please complete the online survey.